Say it to a friend, she already clocked it. One hell of an opinion, better pick your side. Regina runs a room for Wild and Wild.
Every single day, we're bombarded with headlines, live streams, social media posts, podcasts, and opinions from people we trust. Some of it informs us, some of it influences us. And sometimes those two things aren't the same. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, how many of my opinions are actually my own? Not because someone lied to you, not because someone forced you, but because someone earned your trust. Well, how do we separate evidence from emotion? How do we recognize when a narrative is taking shape? Joining us is investigative researcher Ryan Mauro for a conversation about social media influence, the MICE framework, information operations, and why his investigation into Candace Owens became part of a much larger discussion about influence, trust, and more importantly, critical thinking. My name is Regina Connell, and this is Wild and Wired Media, where the coffee is strong, the opinions are stronger, and tonight, who really controls the narrative? All right, without further ado, let's jump in feet first, and we're going to bring our special guest, Ryan Mauro, up. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. I know you've been busy showing up a lot on some broadcasts, so I thought I'd just tell some people. So is it true you've been on over 2,000 broadcasts?
Yes, probably significantly more over the course of my life. Yeah.
Wow, that is so impressive. So how are you doing tonight? I know you just came from Lady Luck's live stream. How'd that go?
It was fun. We were doing a watch party of a film that I did about biblical history, which is just a side passion of mine, biblical archaeology and that type of thing over in Saudi Arabia. So that's just a side thing that I've been doing. I don't get to talk about too often. So I thought it would be fun to get her reactions to watching it live and see people comment as it was playing live. So it was fun.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Well, it's funny that you mentioned that it was something that you had done in the past because I have got the purple file ready. I'm ready to go. I've got my notes going. So I usually do like a tried and true past, present, future. But a lot of your works really impressed me, your writings, your investigative papers, and one of them that really piqued my interest was the one you did on Hamas, your Death to America is your book. I ordered your book, by the way. I wanted to tell you that.
Oh, you shouldn't have. I hate that thing. That's from 2005 when I was like 19.
Well, wouldn't it be interesting to see what you were like then compared to, do you think you'll write another book?
I don't know if the incentives are strong enough. It takes a lot of work, and then like people don't really buy books. And if they do, like one of my friends had a book that did very well, but he did not do well. He only made $1 a book, and then you get taxed on it. So like, I don't know if it's worth it. Also, I kind of hate, like, keep in mind that I wrote that book from the ages of like 16 to 18, came out when I was 19.
Well, how about I just don't read it and then I'll just have it for show?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
All right.
Because I look back and I'm just like, oh man, it was good for the age. I mean, and like, I look at my notes, like my research notes on things in general outside that book, and I learn from them now. Like I found a bunch of notebooks the other day. I was going through it and I'm like, man, some of this stuff is really like useful. I don't know how I forgot most of it, but I was definitely smarter as a teenager than I am now. That's for sure.
It's probably the information overload more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's just tell us a little bit about, I thought the first part you could tell us a little bit about yourself. You mentioned the book, you wrote that when you were like 18 or 19. So take us from there. What really inspired you to do this type of work? Tell people exactly what you do. And then as we go through, I have some things I want to show you and ask you about. More importantly, you guys, I do have a clip from a debate you did on counterpoints, and I think it was from a month ago. And I wanted to show a clip.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to show that clip because mainly, I really like the way you kept your composure. And I think first, if we can recognize the things that are going on, especially like with Candace Owens and different influencers, and how, I myself have been influenced by
Oh,
some
you
things. We're going to talk
froze.
about Marjorie Taylor Greene too, because the Alex. Did I freeze? Am I frozen? Are you
Yeah,
frozen?
it's
Are we good
freezing a
now?
little bit.
Oh no. See, it's always a tech issue. Hold on one second.
It's all right.
Okay. I was still coming through. Are you good?
Yeah, it's coming through
I can
enough.
see
People
you
can
good.
understand what you're saying.
All right. So anyway, I've got a bunch of clips, but take us from the beginning. What inspired you to do things? Did something personally happen in your life? And what are you most passionate about in your current work? So you go, take it away, and then I'll just jump in with some questions.
Sure. I studied this stuff, especially like Russian and Soviet intelligence operations as a kid. It was what I did for fun. I couldn't play sports because I'm blind in my right eye, and other things going on with my family, my life situation just left me really isolated. But so that's what I got into. And then once I got my first computer, then I got really into this stuff because the news was happening, and stuff in the news with like the Middle East and Iraq, and yes, particularly Iraq. And I guess that was 1998, and maybe it was 97. I got into it, and then because I'm thinking of when the U.S. bombed Iraq for 4 days in 1998, so I'm thinking of that. And I just got really obsessed with it. And luckily, being isolated was a good thing. It was let me use my brain and develop those skills and learn a lot at that age where you just remember everything. I mean, I could rattle off dates like you couldn't believe of like when I read a newspaper back then. And I think the best part of it was I didn't come from a political or a religious family. We became Christian later on. And then they only became really political, not even very political, I shouldn't say, like interested in it more due to me than anything else is going on. But because I had no religious or political bias at all, like it just was not present in my life. I've seen things very, very differently than other people. And that's enabled me to forecast pretty well
Yeah.
things that were about to happen and where we're going. And especially today, and seeing things outside the tribal political context, it's hard for people to understand how much that affects you. Because it does become part of your identity. When you tell people who you vote for, or whether you're a Republican or Democrat or Green or whatever, like there is a toxic effect to every human being when you do that. It is going to be in there. And luckily I was outside of it. But of course, those things still affect me anyway because of the ecosystems. But I think that gave me a leg up. And then when I was 16, I got hired by a company to do like threat analysis, geopolitical analysis, basically anything involving that type of stuff, or a maritime security company that was also doing a lot with law enforcement. So then I started working with law enforcement at 16 and sending tips over about plots that we would hear about, and I'd research them. And from there, just grew and did a bunch of different things for different think tanks, freelance writing, etc. Basically built a civilian intelligence network at one point. And then today, right now, I'm the president of the Mauro Institute, which is my very young new nonprofit. So I do contracting work on my own. I'm a senior counter-extremism fellow for a group called Capital Research Center, which is more conservative, Republican aligned, even though I'm an independent. But because I focus on extremism, like that doesn't matter. Like a group that actually wants to do good, like there's no conflict there. Because I'm digging up information on anarchists and communists and Islamists, and so that's right up their alley. And yeah.
Yeah. So can I pause you right there? And I want to bring something up, because just to give you a little context as to why this stood out to me the most out of all your publications and stuff was I read the book Son of Hamas by Musab Hassan Youssef. I read both of his books actually. And I haven't read the last 20 pages of his last book because it made me cry and I wasn't sure how it was going to end. But in his first book, he had become really strong in his faith in Jesus and all of that. And then the second one, he had been through a lot with like mega churches and stuff. And I thought, it's kind of the same thing as to what you're teaching, not just with political figures, it's also with religious figures and all of that. It would be my assessment. So I did So Ryan, this right here, is this what you're talking about? Can you see it up on the screen?
That is one report I did. Yep.
Yes, and so this one was specifically the oh dang, you know what? Okay, yeah. So this one I'm kind of going to go to page 17. I think I can go down here. So what interested me the most was this was a lot of, what you're describing from our side and then comparing it to cuz I read Son of Hamas twice actually. I like to read things over and over again. So, but on this pages 7 through 15, you kind of give your summary as to how the Muslim Brotherhood, they kind of, it reminded me of NGOs that are happening, so they create another organization and then they kind of hide that and then they get money from the government. So, can you explain this a little bit and how you became involved with this particular investigation? And just let me look, it's so small on the screen. Hold on. So, it started here and let me bring it up bigger. I'm gonna bring it up on my side.
Basically, what happened is I had done so much work publicly and also privately on these type of threats, but I really zeroed in on the Islamist threat because that's just where things were, especially with ISIS. And after 9/11, it became all about the Islamist threat. Although I did put a good amount into Russian and Chinese operations, more so Russian. And covering these types of things. So I got to see it build, but Islamism was the one that most people wanted to talk to me about. So I ended up writing about that the most as a job. And so I got really into that and going after the Muslim Brotherhood group, which is almost like the mothership of the jihadist groups. Most jihadist groups came out of them.
Yes.
And then there's debate about whether they qualify as a terrorist group themselves or not, but they certainly created the philosophy that then results in terrorism. And Hamas is a wing of the Muslim Brotherhood. So I got really into that. But it wasn't so much in the nonprofit sector. Like I would expose the organizations, but not so much the money flows.
Yeah.
And not so much the donors and how that intersected with the far left and the normal left. In some cases, the right too. And now increasingly the far right, how that all kind of came together in terms of operations with money and fundraising. And so that's what I started doing for Capital Research Center, because they're like the authority on that. They also have a website called Influence Watch, where you can type in the name of virtually any organization and you can find out the concerning information about them. It's a very good vetting tool. Thousands and thousands of groups. So I dived into laying out the networks and the fundraising mechanisms and learning a lot about that and how the nonprofit industry works, which I must say, I knew that there was a problem before. I didn't quite grasp how much money is to be made bashing capitalism and bashing Jews and Christians and America, and the amount of money you can make is just unbelievable. The nonprofit sector is absolutely a terror harbor. I mean, and a harbor of hate. It's unbelievable.
It is. He spoke about that, in his childhood and how, kids were encouraged and, the businesses would have to shut down and they would all have to congregate in protests and stuff like that. They were getting money from various places. So what interests me the most was the social media aspect of it. And, speaking of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and this is mainly did you watch the Tucker Carlson interview with Alex Brusowitz?
I saw a couple of clips, so I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah. So the first clip, if you're down, can we watch this first clip?
Yeah,
and I want to get your assessment and how this would play into, the work that you're doing. And I definitely want to hear more about the Institute too, because I've been fascinated by that. And we're going to get to that because you had a good comeback on that debate. Who are you, Ryan? Who do you work for, Ryan?
That guy couldn't have reacted any worse. He was just giving me early Christmas gifts.
And then you were like,
yeah.
And unraveled him. All right, but we're going to get to that, y'all. Don't worry. There's a lot of some fun, exciting stuff. So let's get to Tucker Carlson. It's about almost a 3-minute clip, but I think it's worth the watch. And it's going to play full screen. So, but the second one, I want to see your facial expression. So let's get into this one.
By the way, like I did see something that you were on a podcast yesterday. You said you think Israel killed Charlie Kirk.
I did not say that.
What was
I did not say that.
Okay, what was the clip then?
I said, I've never said that.
Okay.
I know a lot of people, including in the Trump administration, who think that. However, there's no proof of that.
Yeah.
What I said was two things. One, I don't know when the command came down and from whom that we have to trust everything federal law enforcement says, but I'm not obeying that. We have a moral obligation to push federal law enforcement to do the job we pay them to do, which is to investigate the crimes fully. And so, for example, if there are people who predicted Charlie's death on Twitter, I think the rest of us can expect that they've been hauled in by the FBI for questioning, and I don't think they have been.
So, I don't know about that, but okay. I do know what what you're talking about, the Discord chats.
No, I'm specifically talking
TikTok.
I'm talking about the Twitter posts that seem to predict Charlie's death. Maybe that
I don't know if that's been investigated. I would love for that to be.
So that's number one. Number two, just because someone is shot by one person doesn't mean others weren't involved. And don't berate me into accepting that assumption, because I would never accept that. Why would I assume that? And three, to tell me that you know the motive before the trial even starts, that he was killed for his views on transgenderism, maybe he was. Maybe it was more complicated than that. How would you know? You don't know. So stop yelling at me to accept a conclusion that you can't prove.
I hear you.
Why would you do that? This is my friend. And by the way, if I was murdered, I would expect people who loved me not to jump to unwarranted conclusions, but to press federal law enforcement to do its freaking job.
Yeah.
And stop calling people names because they're asking you to do your job.
I think a lot of people did jump to unwarranted conclusions.
Maybe. I don't know if they're warranted or not.
And, right after the assassination, many people were with big platforms, not you, were saying that Israel was behind it.
Many people with big platforms were saying that he was killed for his views on transgenderism. And we don't know that, actually. We don't know anything.
But Charlie was killed as he was talking about transgender. And this guy, Tyler Robinson, seems to be in love with transgender people.
That may be absolutely true.
For me, and I think a lot of Americans, that seems like the most plausible situation.
But you're never going to catch me saying, because I don't know it, that Tyler Robinson wasn't involved. I'm merely saying to foreclose the possibility that others were involved is irresponsible. And then to attack other people.
Yeah. I'm certainly not here to attack you.
No, you're not doing it. I'm just saying and it's interesting, the people who have been, I've been a journalist my entire life. I'm not proud of that because journalism is pretty gross in the way that it's practiced in this country, as you've just proven.
So before we go into the follow-up clip of that, I just want from the beginning to the end your assessment, and then I'll tell you my takeaway from it. So that Alex Brucewitz, hats off to you, sir. You have the patience of Job, may I just say. So what did you think about that?
My immediate thought is what has happened to him on a personal level, aside from his opinions. Opinions change, whatever. But I used to run into him quite a bit, maybe 10 to 12 times when I was on Fox News a lot. And he just was the opposite of that in his approach and how he talked, and just a different guy. But look at how mad he got just because Alex says, oh, well, you said Israel killed Charlie Kirk. And if my recollection is correct, Tucker, what he technically said was, oh, he was killed because he's changing his opinion on Israel, which is hinting at Israeli involvement. And if Tucker was honest, he'd be like, no, it was just misconstrued a little bit. Instead, he just gets, you see how fuming he got? And he wanted to intimidate Alex. He wanted to make him uncomfortable.
Yes, and wait till
how dare you say that? And it's like,
right.
Well, you kind of did, and that's a minor difference. So clarify the minor difference. That's not malicious or stupid of him to ask that.
No, and so his body language, number one, and if you thought he got a little unhinged on that one, what gets me are people that watch him because he's so, and not even double-minded, like triple-minded in his statements. So in that less than 3-minute clip, he said, well, I want answers. People are yelling at me. And wait till you see what he says in the next clip. Who is calling you names? Who's yelling at you? But what got me the most in the second clip, which is the one we're going to see your facial expression in, is, he claims that he called higher ups in FBI. And when he demanded answers or asked for simple answers to questions, that he wasn't given those, and he didn't just understand why they wouldn't just give him that information, and why are they just
because
jumping?
he's Tucker Carlson. he should just be given a security clearance and get privileges that nobody else has. Spoken like a true rich kid, a spoiled rich kid, just like he is, even though he's done this big act where he tries to come off like the everyday man, and then he goes over to Russia and is fascinated at the supermarkets with the shopping carts where you put the coin in, and he's like, look at that, Russia's great, I've never seen that before. Yeah, because you're not one of us, man.
Right.
You're just a giant poser, a poser of the average. You want so badly to be accepted as like the average working class guy because you're insecure about how much money you grew up with and all the success you've had, which I'm sure family connections helped you with. That's what it all comes down to. It's all his psychology. This is like, let's not kid ourselves that a lot of what he says is just authentic, his objective, rational assessment. Like, you can tie it right back to what he's insecure about and his emotions.
Oh, definitely. So, I had actually done a reaction video, and there was a funny part where I sped it up where he's like doing all this, but we're going to watch this second clip because he goes even further. And, when Alex Bruesewitz, really ties him down, you notice he overtalks Alex Bruesewitz. He, well, what about this? And that's when he gets really emotional. Like you said, that does cause people to get a little uncomfortable. You want to calm someone down, and then I'm calm. It's just the complete contradiction. So let's get into this second clip, and then I really want you to tell me what you think about this, because this one blew my mind.
I had this conversation, and I called people at the FBI directly, not being paid to do this. I did because I love Charlie Kirk. And it's like, what is this? And they
Did you catch that? He's not being paid to do this. He does this because he loves Charlie Kirk.
No, he's making money off of it. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, so he tells on himself. So let's keep going.
Give me a good answer.
Did you see that recently at the court hearing that they're not making Tyler Robinson's lover testify? They're basically giving them spousal privilege.
Yeah, what is that?
That's a great question. And I think turning point.
And who's this guy who jumped up and claimed credit for the murder seconds after it happened? Who's that guy who all of a sudden gets busted on kiddie porn charges and we can't talk to him? Well, like, I don't know what this adds up to, but I know weirdness.
So who is we? Who is we can't talk to them? He's not a part of any law enforcement agency to where he would interview this person or question them or interrogate them. So do you have anything you want to say about this so far? We're about a quarter of the way through it, but what do you think so far? He called the higher ups, like what?
I mean, there's a huge sense of entitlement there. There's a lot of manipulation, some of which he may not even be aware of. But notice how often he just keeps pivoting back to these kind of abstract claims that someone would be, especially because of the anxiety of the situation, if you're Alex, would be inclined to agree with, where he's like, I just want them to do their job. And most people, especially if they're nervous, would say yes. But then you're actually conceding his point, which is that they're not doing their job.
Yeah.
Says, how come everyone's trying to shut me up? Well, nobody's trying to take away your right to free speech. They're talking back. Again, manipulation. It's like reverse bullying. Like in the outrage that he does, like the emotion is a way of saying, don't challenge me on this. How dare you? And he's basically making things up by saying like, oh, how come we're not allowed to talk about that? Like, it's suspicious. Like, no, you're allowed to talk about it. You talk about it all the time. You make millions of dollars talking about it. You're allowed to talk about it. And it's just, you look at almost every sentence and you can detect manipulation there, in that it's trying to imply a point, and it's framed as a defensive statement that most people would agree with as an immediate reaction. So he kind of elicits the affirmation, and the audience thinks, oh, all right, what he's saying is credible, more broadly. And like, it's not. Like, sometimes when you're interviewing people or you're talking to people, like, you're just polite, where like, because you want to agree as much as you can if the tension is high. So he ratchets up the tension. And so Alex concedes, some point, like, oh yeah, of course we want the police to do their job. How come we can't talk to that guy? There was a lot of people at the Charlie Kirk shooting. Like, there were thousands of people that showed up. So one guy who has a record of doing crazy things does that same crazy thing where he takes credit. He gets immediately let go. But I mean, it's not a cover-up because he was apprehended and questioned. They let him go. Of course, they look into him. They find kiddie porn. So then they arrest him on that. And then Tucker saying, how come we can't talk to him? What do you mean you can't? If he's not talking to you, it's his choice.
By choice.
There's no government or conspiracy for that. It's
right. Yeah, and I think there's some institution. Oops, sorry. I think there's some institutions that actually don't allow the inmates to talk to the press or give like video anything or talk to. But thank you for pointing that out. So let's let him continue, because if you thought he got emotional there, wait for it.
Is there not footage of Tyler Robinson pulling the trigger? Apparently, they say that there is. No one has seen it, who I know, including high-level people who have asked to see it, haven't seen it. Why? I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying, why are you acting like this?
Sure. But I think it's, and I trust you that you weren't saying it was Israel, but some people have definitively said that. And I think that's also reckless. And so
I've said it's Israel?
No, I'm not, I trust you that you said, well, I trust what you're saying right now. Right.
I don't,
but
if I had proof there was Israel, I would just say so.
Right.
So like you said, he's needing to calm him down, try to find common ground so they can progress with the interview, because, you see how Tucker personalized all that. So let's let him continue.
People have speculated that, though, and have definitively said that. Not you, others. I think that's reckless and irresponsible and does a disservice to the investigation. I agree that we should 100%.
I mean, the investigations, the way that it's unfolded has allowed the space for all of the speculation to take place.
Sure.
And that is
also the new media environment, the new social media ecosystem.
But it's just funny. Everyone's mad at the podcasters for it. The podcasters. You've got a freaking Department of Justice that we pay for billions a year that has the right to shoot you. They have unlimited police powers. They can tell.
I'm going to let you respond to his statement of they have unlimited police powers. Did you want to clarify anything on that?
Man, there's so much to analyze there, just like in terms of manipulation, if you look at it closely. So he's depicting the Department of Justice in the scary terms, right? Oh, they can kill you. And he says unlimited police powers, which shows how irresponsible he is with his record. He cares more about framing something in his favor so much he's willing to say something ridiculous and make it in that split-second decision. There had to be, in a split second, that moment of, I'm going to use the word unlimited power. Now, he may believe that because he's so much in the conspiracy world, but that's really detached from reality. Most likely, there is that split second where he knows it's not literally true, but he's just going to say it. Why? And he'll say, I just meant hyperbole, because you can always fall back on that. But when there's a chain, you connect like hyperbole is supposed to be an anomaly, so that it's exaggeration. That's effective communication. But when you use hyperbole consistently and in order to make a point, it's not really hyperbole anymore.
Right.
And so he's like, he's saying, oh, well, the reason that people are having these theories is because the government's doing so many things wrong. There's a lack of transparency. Could find a similar case and show me how they handle it any better. I see nothing weird about this at all.
You any lie they
did just dump information. You know what he would say? He'd say, "Oh, that's information overload. That's a distract you." And the more you talk, the more you have to correct certain things. And every time you correct them, they say, "Oh, they're flip flopping. Caught them in a lie."
Yes, and at one point, which I didn't catch that part, I started to do the one where he talked about, Erica Kirk's my friend, and when Mr. Bruce,
he's the worst friend ever.
He is the worst friend ever. Then he tried to even intimate, oh, yeah, I was just texting with her. Why do you have to make that public? Why, even if you were really texting with her, why would you put it out there? So we have just a few more seconds of this to listen to. But, I mean, this guy's out of control. Yes, he's irresponsible. No, the police can't do just whatever they want. And this is a good time to slide in the grand jury tomorrow night. Y'all make sure you tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go follow Joe Lanou and the whole crew. So, look. No, they cannot do that. They are held accountable just like everyone else. So
and it's fine. If you lie to them, it's a federal crime. They have all the power.
Yeah.
Therefore, they need all the accountability. That's just like kind of how it works. And no one seems to be mad at the FBI or the Utah state authorities for not answering simple questions about this stuff. And if you can't answer a simple question, maybe there's a good reason. What's that reason? Shut up, anti-Semite. I'm just not going to take that under any circumstances ever.
Well, right now, what it seems like, though, at least in the right-wing media ecosystem, I agree that we should have a thorough investigation.
Yeah.
Half the side, or actually probably more than half the side, says Tyler Robinson did it.
All right. So hit us with it. I mean,
did Alex just make it sound like, did he say half? Because more than half the right. See, he's conceding because and I would have done the same thing probably, because It's one thing when you're in the situation then versus how your brain works when you're in a comfortable spot, looking back. Because that's an awkward spot to be in, and Tucker's utilizing it. But like, I'd say more than half of the right things Tyler Robinson did do it. Like, no, dude, you're fringe. Like, it's not a 50 thing. Like, don't give him the legitimacy of saying as if you're on an equal plane, because you're not. I mean, he said, again, he's going back to implying law enforcement misconduct without saying anything specific, making it sound like they're hiding something without saying what they're hiding, without saying what they're refusing to answer. Because anything I've heard them refuse to answer is the same type of stuff they always refuse to answer. Because if you can jeopardize the collection of evidence, you can jeopardize the prosecution. There is literally nothing weird. And the fact that it appears to be a relatively simple thing, they point to that as weirdness. And so, like, the conspiracy trick, the conspiracy grift works no matter what you do. People have to understand that. It's not like, oh, are they making legitimate points? No, they're because all they're doing is criticizing reality and claiming there's anomalies, whichever way things go. And he also did this twice. He did this in the earlier. He makes it sound like law enforcement is calling him an anti-Semite. No,
exactly.
First of all, no one's questioning the investigation and prosecution. No one has ever said that's anti-Semitic, except for when people suggest, oh, there's an Israeli plot without much evidence, because that is evidence of anti-Semitism. Because, like, why are you going there when the evidence doesn't go there? I mean, you must have a bias against Israel or Jews.
Would it shock you to know?
So he's expanding that to say, oh, just merely questioning makes you anti-Semitic. No. And law enforcement specifically, never. I don't think they've even mentioned his name.
So let me ask you this. So he made it sound like he makes a call up there. He asks some simple questions. They call him an anti-Semite. And this is the part of the clip you didn't see. Was he even threw Candace Owens in there? You're not going to tell me, my friend, we're called anti-Semites if we ask simple questions. So my first thought was, there's no way. I mean, if you called there, my guess is you got an answering machine, or they told you, hey, we can't give any information on this investigation. But he then went even further to say that they actually said Candace Owens' name, called him an anti-Semite. So, and people that don't know any better would probably believe something like that. Like,
no, they wouldn't answer his call. I mean, think about what he's claiming. Oh, I have a friend, because it would have to be like that. No one high up at the FBI is going to want to take his call.
He said Joe Kent by a specific name, so that was the one name he threw out.
Well, then that's just by authority. You just cite his credentials, say, well, he's saying it. But if Tucker's trying to make it sound like they directly called him and Candace anti-Semites when he called them, it doesn't make sense, because they would have to be your friend and want to take your call in the first place if it's this super secret call. And then we're supposed to believe that they were just like, oh, you're anti-Semitic, and hung up the phone. No, your friend wouldn't do that. So the story doesn't make any sense.
I agree. And I'm glad you put it that way, because I didn't even think about it that way. I was just thinking the ridiculousness of the statement. I couldn't believe it. So I didn't collect a lot of Candace Owens clips. I thought before we go tonight that we would kind of take a look at how she's crashing out online. But
yeah.
But I did want to show another example, because that guy that you debated that when you were on Counterpoints, he kind of reminded me a little bit of what we just witnessed with Tucker Carlson and stuff. So I thought we could give a good example of, you coming on there. And I want y'all to know that this is from Ryan's channel. I took a clip of it, but I also went back and watched the full Counterpoints interview, which I think there was only about 20 minutes. I really wanted to hear what the ambassador had to say. So that was my main interest of going back and looking, because I mean, at one point he was like, "Oh, if I could just interject,"
Yeah.
But did you want to say anything or touch any more on that? I mean, we're seeing it from Megyn Kelly, we're seeing it from Tucker Carlson. Not so much Megyn Kelly as much, but definitely Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. It's like this.
Megyn Kelly's personality is that of a conspiracy theorist. Like, something happens when you go down a conspiracy hole. I've seen it a million times, where regardless of whether someone believes something that's hateful, like anti-Semitic or radical or not, but put that aside, just as a person, conspiracy theorists, like the people who really get into it, they just get nasty and really arrogant, and they really view social interactions in the wrong way at almost every instance, and it happens very rapidly. And in fact, that's part of Russian strategy is that they noticed many years ago, they're like, you know what, you can get your disinformation out there through conspiracy theorists a lot easier. So just promote conspiracy theory, like open up that door as wide as possible, because those are the same people that you can then slip in disinformation, as opposed to having to just doing the disinformation right off the bat from Russia, like putting in the Russian propaganda. So it's just like, nope, just get conspiracy stuff out there, and then the opportunities will just present itself for us to insert stuff in. So that's what you're seeing a lot of that happening. As for the discussion that you're going to show a clip of with Patrick Henningsen, I knew he was going to be on, and I normally don't do debates because I think debates are basically contests of performance and short-term memorization. Like I think usually they're counterproductive. But if there's a moment where it's activism oriented, like it's an opportunity to learn more, see how people would react, force them to answer questions they otherwise wouldn't, like as part of research, then it's a little different. So I did this one, even though it was Arab TV. So it's not like, it's not like I'm building an audience from it. But I felt that this was, from an activism standpoint, this was a little different than doing one of these silly debates where you go in there and it's like, I'm just not a fan of them. I think that most debates are bad for civil society with the way that they're doing now. But that was the context in which I talked in the clip that you're going to play.
Yeah, so before we get into that, I want to agree with you on that. I went into the space where Andrew Wilson was in, and I think I
was thinking of him specifically, even though there's times I cheer him on, but I was thinking that's exactly, yes.
Well, and my thought was, though, Uncle Tom hosted the space, they had asked him, and I thought, well, dang, he gave his time to come in there for 2.5 hours, but he knew it. He knew what they were going to do, at every turn. Of course, Blake Bednart was in there. And so Blake Bednar was in there, and he didn't have any of his stuff. He left for like an hour, all of that stuff. So it was really crazy. But I do want to touch on the MICE framework. I want you to explain a little bit about that, because when you were talking about the Russian and the China, so after we watched this clip, I was, I thought it was a professional style debate. It wasn't one of those crazy X Spaces stupid things where they're like, oh, I checked you, bruh. Checkmate, bruh. It's not about checkmate. Hello. It's about finding common ground. Can we, maturely discuss our points and give reasons why, and definitely receipts and examples. So without further ado, this is a clip from Ryan Mauro in a debate. So I think y'all are going to enjoy this one. We're going to do this one full screen because I want them to see all of it. All right, let's go.
In Iran, in Gaza, in Russia, Ukraine, the Trump administration has failed miserably. It's been a disaster in terms of negotiations on all fronts. So it doesn't look like they have the personnel, that they have the discipline to reach an interim accord, which would lead to a treaty, which would mean an end to hostilities. That's what everybody needs. That's what everybody wants. But it doesn't look like they're going to do that, because there's no good exit options for Donald Trump. If he can't admit defeat, that's politically impossible for this administration. And in terms of leaving Israel to fend for itself in the region, that's not going to happen either, because of pressure from the Israeli lobby in the U.S. So you have two options. One is escalation by the U.S. and Israel, which looks like the more likely scenario. The other is neither of the above, which means for the U.S. to sort of declare a Pyrrhic victory and make a PR type of victory and then back off, but leave the door open for future attacks over the duration of this administration for the next 2 years. So in my view, it's going to be one of those two things.
Man, I'm sorry, there's just no nuance there. I mean, right before the 12-day war began, you had the IAEA declaring Iran in non-compliance because they were refusing to cooperate and being deceptive about their nuclear program. I mean, that was just reflexively taking the side.
No. That's a lie.
No,
that's
Patrick,
a lie.
hold on one second.
You're lying.
Because you have a history.
Both U.S. intelligence assessments, two successive
by the U.S.
intelligence assessments have said Iran is not
the Russian
pursuing a nuclear
and
weapon.
are pro-Iran.
You're just pushing propaganda.
When you're associated with RT,
just pushing.
and
Okay.
touting.
All right.
If you're
One at a
touting
time.
Alexander
One at a time.
Dugin on X,
Ryan, you
You're-
respond, and then Patrick, I'm going to let you have a retaliation.
That's a propagandist.
Ryan, you're making a fool out of yourself on global television. Well done.
No, but if I can intervene just
likewise, you
just
tout Alexander Dugin on X, so you're making a fool out of yourself on global social media. I mean,
I don't quote Alexander Dugin. You're lying.
In America,
Look,
and you're embracing
who are you?
foreign hostile
Who are
governments
you,
like
Ryan?
that.
Who are you working for, Ryan? Because I don't quote Alexander
Myself, I'm
Dugin.
self-employed.
What are you talking
Have you gotten
about?
money from RT?
Okay.
What are you
You got
talking
an
about?
official page on their website.
What is
Okay. All right.
I have
We're-
to ask the host. What are you doing? Host,
We're going
with all
to
due
we
respect,
won't go
what are
into
you
some
setting up?
individual personal
what are you setting
attacks.
up?
Let's.
Is this a hijacking
This is
session,
absolutely.
or
This is absolutely
is that what
not.
you're
Let's bring
doing?
in the ambassador.
Well, before I answer that question, your other guest, Ryan, accused me of being paid by RT. I have my own media outlet, 21st Century Wire. It's been running since 2009, which is longer than Ryan's been doing propaganda for the U.S. and Israeli government. But I don't get paid by RT. So that's just libel.
In the past,
on
Okay.
for
All
our
right.
guest.
Thank you for clarifying that.
That's just libel.
in the past, I was
It's libel,
referring to-
and you're doing.
All right, so I had to get that last bit in there because when it was his turn, she asked him a question. He could have just rolled into his answer instead of, well, I'm gonna let your guests know that blah blah blah. Who are you, Ryan? Who do you work for, Ryan? And I loved the way you kept your cool and you kept talking, even though he was melting down. You calmly just kept talking. So go. That was great.
Thank you. The one frustrating thing is, I don't know if it's my mic or whatever. Like his voice came over stronger on. I don't know why that is. I've been asking people like I guess maybe he had a professional mic or whatever. Because that was a little frustrating. Because that's like a big thing. Like in cable news, like very often, whichever voice you just hear more, people just feel that one's winning. But like, look at how he just melted down. Like I made very basic, like there weren't really any curveballs. I had curveballs prepared. I didn't even need to get to them.
He did your work for you. What I love though is I could hear you very clearly. Get you one of these headphones that you can turn that sucker down a little bit when he's screaming in your ear. But I was listening to what you were saying. I could hear what he was saying because he was loud, but I homed in on what you were saying. And most people could not even articulate a thought, get it out with someone constantly. And you clearly articulated everything. I thought it was chef's kiss. And I think he hated that.
Now, if you watch the whole thing, look how red his face gets. Like it's cartoonish. Like he really, to the point where the other guy, like the Pakistani, the former Pakistani ambassador, is like talking, and his face is still getting redder, and he's still like thinking about just what I said, and I didn't even really insult him. Like I really tried to keep it. The only thing I said maybe insulting was I say he's monetizing treason, but like he is though.
Well, a month later, he's probably still thinking about that interview. He's probably still in his mind raging. If I ever see that Ryan Mauro.
His defensive reaction, just look at how his brain worked, though. It was immediately, who do you work for? He didn't like the answer, but just like all conspiracy theorists, there has to be a conspiracy. So his mind, like it's very telling. It goes right to that. Who do you work for? Blah, blah, blah. Later on, he accuses me of like trying to cash in on like arms sales or something. You're doing propaganda for the U.S. government without any specifics. He just immediately goes there, and then he starts accusing the host. Did you catch that? He goes, host, is this a setup, a hijacking?
Oh, yeah.
So,
is this a hijacking?
He is in on it. Like,
he thought he was set up.
Source, like it's someone credible whose defensive reaction is go the conspiracy route. When that doesn't work, go bigger conspiracy. Oh, that doesn't work. Go bigger conspiracy.
I'm surprised he didn't insinuate the ambassador was in on it too. I did catch that. What is this, a hijacking? Did you call me here? Are you going to let him hijack the thing? So he wanted the moderator to take sides, and that's a tactic I see Candace Owens doing, where she throws in, well, it was Mikey McCoy that told me, it was really Blake Neff that told me. Then we know this is all lies. Nobody's told her anything, right? So I think this might be a good point to maybe go into the MICE framework and how to recognize this stuff that's going on. So I'm going to put you on full screen, let you go over it because I found it very fascinating. I've been reading through it several times and I thought, knowing is half the battle, if not more. So the more we know, and then, go with the MICE framework because I thought it was just an easy, simplified way to recognize certain things. So I'm going to let you have the floor, sir.
Sure. So first of all, if you want more information about what was going on there with that discussion on Arab TV with the Russian agent of influence, who's an American, by the way, and apparently lives in the U.S. right now, I do have an X thread where I go through everything that he said, and I can show like clear lies and why he lied about certain things. It is a really interesting use case to use, and then you can use that as a manual for understanding it when other actors do the same thing. So that's something that I can post out there for anyone who's interested.
Yes, please do.
Sure.
I'm going to grab that X post and I'll share it out in conjunction with this interview. Go ahead.
Sure. And you'll actually see what I'm about to talk about, MICE, apply to him. But I realized part of the reason I launched my podcast was just because on a Twitter thread, I couldn't really explain what I discovered about Candace Owens and her trip to Russia. And then when I found the evidence that she was probably planning on fleeing there, all that, I was like, this shit, an X thread isn't really going to cut it because you can see the views going down and down. Like this is going to have something I have to explain. And then what I realized was that every podcast I think of, it's either like political commentary style. So it's like the audience like, oh, well, is this true or is this not true? Or it's true crime type but now the standard is about, is there evidence of a crime? And so the only thing that's going to work here is if I explain it as an influence operation. And so I spent a lot of time putting together from basically every single source I could find the steps of an influence operation, but also recruitment of a human asset, whether the asset knows it or not, as part of an influence operation. Those two things haven't really been combined in terms of the literature. And so I laid out a 10-phase process. I said, all right, well, then that's going to be the model for the podcast, because that allows in not necessarily evidence of criminal activity, but for people to see the big picture of what's going on. So MICE, M-I-C-E, was used by the intelligence community for a very, very long time. Now it's kind of been like upgraded a little bit, but it's still used commonly to understand the recruitment of spies, traitors, agents, that type of thing. And so they came up with the acronym of MICE, and I just applied it to an influence operation and someone who's acting as a asset knowingly or unknowingly within that context, and it still works. So MICE is the acronym. So the first thing, if you're trying to identify whether you can reach a target, you can recruit or influence somebody, or if you, as part of the assessment process, like what options do we have to make it happen? And all you have to do is have one of these. If someone has 3 of them and they're all intense, then you have a much higher likelihood of success in recruiting them. So
if it goes higher, is it more likely that it's an organization, or is it the success level of it?
So MICE is from the point of view of the influence operator. So if I'm looking to corrupt someone or recruit them or manipulate them, I might have a list of targets. I say, okay, so these are the people that can make a certain thing happen that I want to happen. Now I put up MICE, M-I-C-E, and see which of those people most fit these criteria and most intensely. But you only need one of these in order to get someone. But if you can get more than one of these 4, then your odds of success increase.
Okay.
So I'd be looking at, like, I went over my podcast, like from the Russian perspective, 2018, their top target were blacks and then conservatives. And then logically, black conservatives would be top. And Candace Owens, you Google that, like, she would have been the first result. They definitely did an assessment on her because, like, they have Google, so they definitely did it. But MICE would have played a role in here. And MICE the M is for money. Do they need money or really want money? Which are 2 different things, but that you can roll them into one. If they're really selfish, it might just be wanting money. You might be a good person, but you need money, and now you're willing to compromise on your moral principles. So they look for signs of that. And if it's a public figure, it's a lot easier than a private individual because you can see them in interviews and learn about their life, and you can do all this open source. So money for mice, for the M. The I is ideology. And that can be whether they already believe that they're on your side. So if you're Russia, all right, they already support Russia. We can go right in just there through the I. Or it can be that they have one that's being molded or is moldable. Like they have an ideology, but you can shape it. So like, oh, someone's a Christian, so they're disinclined to like stuff that Putin's doing. All right, but they aren't firm enough that we can't mold it. So let's just present a Christian version of Putin. That's how we get to that person. It's moldable. Or if they have no ideology, then that's actually the easiest. It's a blank slate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's keep going. And y'all, I am flashing it up on the screen as he is describing it. So we got through the M, we're on the I. He just described the I. So Candace Owens, this is making things so much more clear. Like I've been watching your content and I loved the mice. I think that's something you should be talking about in every single whatever you do. Okay. Yeah, because it really breaks it down very easily for people to understand what's happening. So now we're moving on to C.
C is depending on which text you look at too. So I combined them. My objective was to combine all the texts that were out there and make kind of like the ultimate guide. And so C is for compromise or coercion. So compromise, blackmail. And then coercion would just be not necessarily blackmail, but they're dependent upon you, or you can move them into a situation where they're dependent upon you and you either threaten them or they just need to know it. Like if you're an employer and the person's really sick and needs health coverage, like you got that, there's coercive ability there. You don't have to say anything.
Intimidation tactics.
Yeah, you can't leave me unless you find better healthcare. Yeah, so it's like you can do it without even saying anything. It's just because you're dependent upon me. So there's a coercive effect there. Compromise is the most aggressive one where you actually say, hey, we've got something on you. Now do X, Y, and Z. And then you can, just own them that way. But that's considered actually not the most effective because you want to play upon someone's ability to, like, people want to be liked. That's a more reliable thing. Or that they're going to gain something. If it's just about avoiding something or you're shaming them, that person is going to be looking to stab you in the back.
So it might fall like more, getting them on the ideology, needing a flock around them or something, massaging maybe this. Yeah. And I'm going to ask you which one you think is the strongest and the first tool that they would go to. So we're in the C right now. So we did money. Do they need money? Want money? Ideology, and then the compromise, coercion. So the next on the chopping block is E.
Ego or excitement. Ego meaning you have, especially that someone who feels that they're entitled to something. Because if you're entitled to something that you don't have, you will now have resentment. So what they would look for is anti-establishment beliefs or attitudes. Because usually there's resentment there. I deserve X, I'm not getting it. Maybe there's even something legitimate, but it doesn't matter. If let's just say Candace, or let's just give another example. Let's just say a former employee of Ben Shapiro. A Christian's working for Ben Shapiro fires them. The person thinks that they're wonderful. What someone can do, an influence operator, is say, all right, well, you're bitter at Ben. You notice that a lot of Israelis agree with him, a lot of Jews, a lot of capitalists, and you just broaden it out, and it's pretty easy to do. You see it in people all the time. And then you lead them to your ideology and your side that way because it inevitably leads there. So you take who they hate and you just have them apply it to more and more people. Equate it with more and more people. So that's one way of doing it with ego because you want payback. You're mad at somebody. It could also just be you want to be famous. That's a big one now, and I believe that actually is going to be considered a biological attack one day because of dopamine. The body needs dopamine, and everyone needs to be humble and understand no matter how strong-minded you think you are and how principled you are, you getting likes on social media, people giving you compliments, that does affect you biologically. You get a dopamine hit, and no matter how hard you fight it, biologically, your body is going to crave whatever elicited that. And a lot of your thoughts come from what's going on inside your body. Even if you're not, what you may think is totally objective and authentic and not influenced by dopamine or anything like that, but it is. And so you pump them up with dopamine for certain things, and then you can incentivize them to behave in that way that they get compliments, and then offer them, more of that. Excitement if they're bored, recruit the bored guy. Offer them a trip, you can just utilize that too.
How many of these do you think, so let's go over it again, mice, how many of these do you think check the box for, figures such as Candace Owens, even Project Constitution, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. So we've got the money part, we've got the ideology, the compromise coercion, which I don't know about that part, but the ego excitement. So what would your assessment be on, you said you only have to have one of them, right, to have a successful operation, but the more that they check the box with each of those, the more likely the operation will be successful, right?
She's overflowing on 3 of them. And she's not just overflowing in the broad categories, like the sub points. Like there's different ways you can leverage money, different ways you can leverage ideology, different ways you can leverage compromise coercion, different ways you can leverage ego and excitement. She's not just big on them in general. She's big for almost all the sub points, all the different ways you can leverage them. The only one that's questionable is compromise and coercion. And there very well might be something in there that we don't know about, because we don't know what texts she has with her friends.
Well, can I share something with you? So I was in a space with Judge Joe Brown one night, and Dana, I can't remember her YouTube channel. Anyway, she was hosting the space. So someone in the space asked about, because I wasn't going to ask him about Candace Owens. I kind of, my discernment was telling me, and it wasn't the space for that. That's what wasn't really what we were talking about. But somebody did ask, and his statement was that she makes you feel warm and welcome, like you've known her your whole life. He even said he thought there was some MI6 stuff going on. I said, I don't know, because of George and stuff. I was like, okay. So, but I've listened to some of his interviews. I think he's a pretty interesting man, where the law enforcement side is concerned in his career and stuff like that. But when he said that, I was like, I don't know about that. I don't know much about it anyway. So, but I thought it was just interesting that he said that, because he does believe that someone's corrupting her. Like, I think he cares about her, but, he doesn't understand why she's doing the things that she's doing.
Yeah. And someone like her, the best way to get to her is not through propaganda, because I'm not convinced she reads. Like, that comes later. Like, she reads the stuff that she like. You're not seeing an intellectual grappling with different ideas and talking to people with different ideas and going back and forth. Like, someone who changes their mind is actually more credible and harder to recruit, because they're a critical thinker. The person who's very tribal, that's why Russia promotes tribalism in general. It's not always pro-Russia stuff. It's just there's behaviors and thinking patterns that the enemies of the U.S. just know to stimulate, because it'll pay dividends down the road. So she's not of the she doesn't do things in terms of behavior, and she's also just, I think, fundamentally not of the psychology to be someone that you reach through propaganda. So what does that leave? It's gonna be personal relationships. Episode 2 of my podcast, called When the Bear Targeted TPUSA, kind of goes in when that started happening. And that was 2018. And the one individual, the most interesting individual that appears in 2018 is John Mappin, who is a very wealthy senior official. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I was trying to mute it before.
The Church of Scientology in London, but he's also previously involved in QAnon, which Russia amplified that too. But he was big in Scientology, very closely by his own boasts, tied to the senior levels of the Russian government. His wife is Russian. His wife says that she came from high-level, like a high-level part, the elite of Russia and the Soviet Union, and that Russia's characteristics partially come from her family. Like, she fully is proud of Russia. It says part of the reason Russia is great is because of me and my bloodline.
That sounds like Candace. The internet is great because of me. I'm going to
Yeah.
hold the internet
I'm
back.
God's conduit.
They will trust me if it comes directly from me. If you let me see it, but not anyone else see it, keep going. You're on it.
Yeah. And so his wife also boasts of her grandfather was a senior Soviet official. So it's like this is out there, not that hard to put together. But what's so interesting is that he and the other Russia-linked people around Candace do the same thing. Just outrageous flattery. Like publicly disgusting flattery, butt kissing, like the type that you would never think of approaching any human being with this level of just like, oh, you're the best. Like even the social anybody who has any skill would say, don't do that. But somehow Mappin had her pegged and did it publicly and over again, which means he was really convinced that was the right approach. And he got into her inner circle, and he remains in her innermost circle today. And you can see a lot of similarities in, well, first of all, they'll post at around the same time. Like when Candace blocked me, it was immediately after Mappin blocked me. I think it was the same day, but it was like a couple, it was just separated by hours. And if you look at the messaging, it's very clear that they're talking back and forth. When Candace started having a meltdown, Mappin goes on X and starts saying, you guys are terrible people. Can't you just let her have a vacation? Blah, 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 blah. Like basically saying you're ruining her vacation. They obviously were talking and he was concerned about her. So that's how close they are, because it had to be pretty bad for him to like actually take a step and be like, look, I got to tell them like enough. You're like, let her be.
He felt like he had to be her knight in shining armor. And we all knew.
That's how you know she was crashing out, because he indirectly admitted it.
Yes. I was going to say, and Ryan made a post about that too. So I'll make sure I share that out. I bookmark and repost all of that stuff. But yeah, he felt like he was coming in as her knight in shining armor. Oh, don't do this. I'm surprised he didn't throw the pregnancy thing in there. And look, pregnancy does not make us weak. It is not a condition. Please stop saying that. Okay. We can do normal things. I mean, my first pregnancy, I worked 2 jobs up until I was 8 months pregnant at 45 years old.
Wow, cool.
Well, the first one was at 20. My second one was at 45, and I was still going 9 months pregnant. So that's nonsense, Candace Owens. But she, in her other pregnancy, she talked about what a warrior she is. So is it you're a victim or you're a fighter? Because, she's that pugilistic pregnancy stuff going on. But, I mean, so John Mappin, a lot of people talk about he's in the Epstein files and stuff. So do you believe that he's one of these people that uses that MICE framework? I mean, apparently he said his wife is are they smart enough to do that? Like who is controlling them?
He has to be smart. It's just in a different way. And he has to also not care. He says things that are so embarrassing, like the open flattery when he wants to reach a celebrity. It just comes off like a fangirl, like so much that, but it's to such a degree that no matter how insane you are, you have to know that you're doing that. So he's smart enough to be able to pick out the right targets for that. Like that is, I mean, you might be getting information from Russian intelligence, but that's still smart to know when to do that and when not to. And because there's not many people, even the biggest egomaniacs in the world, I wouldn't approach that way, because I would think, oh, they think I'm a stalker. You knew right with Candace, and then everyone else connect to Russia throughout this from 2018 till now. You always see this. It's publicly like worshiping her to a degree that anyone I know in intelligence would have been like, that's too much. That's too much. But they all do it the same way. So they're learning from each other. There's something going on there. Yeah, for sure. And then you see it reflected in what she says about herself too. It mirrors.
Yes. Well, somebody's telling her that. Someone's got to be telling her, hey, you're the only one. You're the, they're doubling down. So let me tell you what she reminds me of. So I read a lot of Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard, their killing series. So I read Killing Lincoln, Killing Kennedy, Killing Jesus, all of that. I want to read Killing the Rising Sun and Killing.
That's a good one.
Is it good?
Killing Rising Sun, yeah.
Holy crap, I'm going to get that one. So anyway, so he says in the book, he describes Lee Harvey Oswald, and, he thought he was going to be somebody in Russia, and they kind of threw him in a factory and stuff like that. And one of your posts, you mentioned that, she thinks she can go over there. She'll never be able to have the podcast that she's having. Like, for whatever reason, she would go over there. And decide to stay because she's running from something here. But Lee Harvey Oswald displayed those same egotistical behaviors. Now, I mean, of course, she's more well off than he was, but I mean, it's hard not to see the similarities there.
You'll see it a lot. Like the most famous spies are very eccentric. Yeah, and you'll see this type of thing. What's going on with Candace is surprising to people just because it's Candace. It's a celebrity that people thought they knew what she was, conservative activist, whatever. But if you look at it from a data perspective, like as someone who studies intelligence, it's not surprising. This isn't surprising. I know Russia is doing this. If I sat down and thought about it, nobody actually did. Like no one actually said to me, Ryan, sit down, and if they're targeting black conservatives, like who are they going to go after? But it would take me about 30 seconds to say, oh, let me look at Candace Owens and then go through this, and I'd be like, oh, perfect. Like perfect.
So let's talk about how people get built up, and not necessarily from the MICE framework or any of that, but let's go back in Candace's history, because we're about to watch this clip, because I don't want to hold you too long. I know you've been running all day. You work a full-time job. So I do appreciate you doing this. And look, I'm here to chop it up as long as you want.
You froze.
My main thing is, I have a clip of Marjorie Taylor. I know it. I saw me freeze. I need to stop moving around. Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good.
I think I'm good now. Can you hear me? All right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, Alex Brusowitz is talking about how, she became a social media sensation. And, you can't help but to believe that it helped her career before she left office and all of that stuff. But with Candace Owens, so she started with the lawsuit, over the racial slander or whatever. So she got paid out that. But when you look back on her career, you have to wonder, well, why was she picked up in the first place? Turning Point USA. She claims she's a Mason, which I don't know how she could be a Mason when it was a well-oiled machine 5 years into hiring her, but all of that. So let's look at this clip, and then I want you to maybe give some explanations and, how this happens, why it happens. There are people who are geniuses at, getting people out there on social media. There's different techniques you can do. So I was very highly interested when I saw this clip, or I actually watched the whole interview, really, is how I have all this. But if you have a second, can we watch this clip? And then I want you to give me your assessment of it.
Sure.
This one's shorter than the other ones. It's 2 minutes and 26 seconds.
It's all good.
Some of those members of Congress that I've worked with in the past, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah.
I started working with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She had 2,000 Twitter followers. By the time she won her election and entered Congress that January of 2021, she had over 800,000 Twitter followers. So in probably a 9-month period, we took her from a no-name congresswoman or a no-name candidate to one of the most followed Republican congresswomen in America. And
how do you do that?
I must admit, I'm slightly disappointed with Marjorie's recent pivot. I think that she felt slightly burned that people didn't support her ambitions for higher office. She says that's not the case. But she went from being the president's #1 defender for 6 years, for as long as I'd known her. She only wanted to run for Congress to get Trump's endorsement, to be Trump's #1 fan, #1 cheerleader.
Yeah, she loved Trump.
She loved Trump. And so I think that she was a little bit slighted by the president and the team not supporting her for either governor or senator or vice president or some other ambitions that she had. And I personally also think she got bored of Congress. I think she went in with tremendous excitement. She wanted to go there and make a difference. She wanted to go there and help President Trump, build the wall and deport illegal aliens and, end foreign aid and do all these things. And I think she got to Washington. She realized a lot of those things are, the president built the wall and he stopped illegal alien invasion in our country almost 100% since he's been in office. But a lot of other things that she wanted to do, when you get to Congress, you realize it's almost impossible. And you realize that you're one of 435 people. And you see people on Fox News, a congressman on Fox News, they talk a tough game. Oh, I can write this letter. I can do this. I can hold this person accountable. But you realize the congressman doesn't actually have any authority. So I think she went there having a different understanding of much power she could actually have and how much change she could actually make. Realized it was a system that was very difficult to change, got burned out, and is now back to being a commentator.
Well, there's never been a better time to sign up for Dutch Pet. That's because we have news in.
Oops. Hey, so I told you I'm still getting better at this. Do you believe him when he said, well, how does that even work? How does that even work, making her grow so fast? He acted like he didn't really know how that would work. And do you believe that he doesn't know how that works?
No, it was too much. The facial expression, even by like, people sometimes will make a faulty analysis because they go off of someone's facial expressions and they say, oh, well, that seems compared to what I do. Where like, no, you need to compare their normal expressions. And I've seen him say that, like, where he goes, what is that? How does that work? I've seen that. This was jaw up, defensive a little bit, and squinted a little bit more. Like it was a little extra, and he interrupted. And he didn't interrupt at a point that like made sense. It wasn't like he made a point that he had to combat. Like sometimes people interrupt because there's missing information that they need to add. Something doesn't make sense, or they have a point that they need to rebut at that point before it can advance. But instead, he just goes, so how does that happen? Like, nah. Now he might be genuinely wondering about it. Like he may not know the full story, but nah, he was too nah, there was something there. He wanted to make it look like he was absolutely clueless about social media growth. I don't know why, but he overdid that, in my opinion. That'd be my assessment. The other big thing that was really interesting there, since you mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene, who another one, if I was working for an intelligence service, I would have picked her right out as soon as she ran. Like that's an easy one. The video where this is actually, I'm glad you mentioned this because I should make it like part of when I use it as an example for ego and excitement. She was into QAnon, but it was also how she was into QAnon. So she was, if you look at the video, there's a crazy video. I think she's in a car where she's touting QAnon, bad enough, but she goes something like, we know the truth. We just have to pity those that don't. And right there, I would have picked that out. Like, aside from the fact that's a horrible, anyone who says that in any way, even and makes a video and then posts it, but anyone who says it, like, that's a very bad trait. But from a recruitment standpoint, I'd say, gotcha. Especially because the QAnon framework fits so well into the anti-American pro-Russia narrative that it's just perfect. And that's why Russian propagandists are saying Epstein class all the time. Oh, Epstein, because it ties into that same thing that QAnon hits. They're fusing it together. And you're seeing Alexander Dugin and other propagandists are trying to bring back QAnon. So a lot of this there's a much more direct line than people realize, not just little similarities. Like, no, you can see the same ingredients being deliberately applied over and over again. But someone told me, I didn't know this because I didn't do a deep dive into Marjorie Taylor Greene ever. And apparently the gym she went to was owned by Fergie Chambers, who's like one of the richest, most influential radical communists in the world. He's now living overseas, openly pro-Putin. So he's connected to intelligence services. So when you come to the part, I haven't gotten to this part in the podcast yet, but in the influence operation, it's not just who do we want to reach, it's are we positioned? Because you have to make the initial outreach appear natural.
Yeah.
So you have to have an asset somewhere in there. Otherwise, your odds of success decrease. Well, you own the gym, then it makes sense for you to show up there or to have her number. So there's enough there that I could see her being influenced by. But notice what Alex said there at the end. What is so insightful. He says, oh, she went into Congress thinking she could change all this. Again, ego, and then ignorance. So we've got with her probably money, but I don't know. But ideology, you've got maybe compromise because of wasn't she sleeping around or something? I read in the press.
So yes, she did. She cheated on her husband, and now she's with the person. I think they're engaged or they got married. They're not even in the country most of the time. She's either in Costa Rica or somewhere else. Yeah, it's
that's a little weird.
It's very weird. And then she's coming on telling people to fight for America. You stepped out of your position. You didn't want to do it anymore. But I did want to ask you one question.
Real quick, I just because I forgot to add why that was so important about her thinking she can change things. So that's ego, but also hits the other part of what I said of unfulfilled expectations. So she's bitter and now even more anti-establishment. But then the real key is when Alex said that she feels like the system like it didn't work. So you have the ego. Oh, it should work. And I'm so good that it'll work when I'm there. It doesn't work. Now you're bitter. But what do you conclude because you have a big ego? Not I misunderstood something. This can't possibly be a good thing because I feel like I didn't get what I want from it. So there must be a problem with the system. And he basically says that she concluded that it failed. Now, if you look at Candace's rhetoric about Russia, you look at Tucker's, all the key point is believing that the U.S. as a system either never worked and it was all a mirage or it doesn't work today, but that the authoritarian governments, it works better. That's the common line there. So with her, you have the QAnon thing, the ego, whatever's going on at that gym and who she might have met there. I'm not making an accusation. I'm just saying as an analyst that would be a box I would check. And now she's on Russian TV a few times around the same time that Candace was saying pro-Russia things. And then you have Alex making, may not even realize how insightful and important it was that he said.
Yes.
That a lot of this ties back to she feels she didn't get done what she wanted. But therefore the system has failed. And the second that you start giving up on America, like Candace Owens saying, how she gave up on the American dream. She talked to the Russians about that. Well, then what's the right ideology? What's the right ideology? That's all you need. You just need someone to believe that the system doesn't work and it can't be reasonably fixed in any viable way. All right. Every single human will then say, well, then what does work? Of course. All you have to do is insert positive things about China, Russia, or whatever place you want to make them gravitate towards. So
this is where your country's wrong is probably what they're saying.
Yeah. And it also means you didn't fail. Think about like ego-wise. Oh, well.
It wasn't your fault.
Look, things work in Russia much weaker than America. How come they work so well? Oh, because there's something really wrong and needs to be overthrown in the U.S. You didn't fail. You didn't fail. You weren't wrong. You weren't ignorant. The system sucks and you were the one to realize it.
Well, I wanted to tell you, Marjorie Taylor Greene made an even more inflammatory statement, and I don't think a lot of people caught it because she was kind of holding the ladies of The View accountable, saying, if you're going to talk about a deleted post, it was Sunny hosting, if you're going to talk, and I can bring it up if you want me to, but I was watching Clinton Jaws, and he played the clip of it. But what got me the most was Marjorie Taylor Greene. They were talking about who's the man that just got the lady came forward and said she's been sexually harassed by this politician. I can't remember his name.
Graham
Platt or something. Plattner. Yes, Graham Plattner. So anyway, but Marjorie Taylor Greene was certain. She said, "I don't think women should be doing that. Especially
She
so
said
many."
That?
She did, but then in the same breath, she said that was the reason she left Congress was for stuff like that. I will get the clip and show it to you.
I haven't seen it, so.
Do you want to see it?
If you want to see a live reaction, then yeah, I've never seen it.
Let's do it because I want to make sure I heard what I heard.
Yeah.
And I just watched it, so it wouldn't be nothing to pull it up. I'm gonna pull up Clinton Jaws because I just don't want to give The View the views, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So yeah, this is the part where she says, read it out loud. And I'm gonna skip ahead. Let me share this. Am I sharing it? I don't know.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, because I don't have it on the screen. So here we go. Yeah, so this is the lady right here that accused Graham Plattner. So anyway, but Marjorie Taylor Greene, I really want you to listen to what she says. I'm going to kind of skip ahead because she goes on. So this is where they start arguing. But in here, she says something to the effect of she doesn't agree with the... Anyway,
look for it, but I just want to make sure my words aren't twisted around.
Can someone bring my phone out to me?
You don't have your phone? Since when do you not have your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I recall, because I do have the post, but it has now been deleted. You did say that women should report early. And I will tell you, as a former sex crimes prosecutor,
she knows.
women, it is the most underreported crime in our country because women are not
most
believed,
BS crime
and
in the-
because it is very difficult. They're defamed, and it's very difficult for them to do it.
Right.
Also, I will tell you, you also wrote
tell
that
you.
she had consensual sex with him years ago. The fact that someone dates people or has had consensual sex with them previously does not mean that they cannot be married. Women can be raped, sex workers can be raped,
Of
and
course.
that is often because I've handled some
you
of
and
those
I
cases.
are in agreement here.
Well, we're not,
No,
because I
actually,
want to know why you would post that and accuse her of rape for politics.
Well, I would like to know why you wouldn't put up my actual post.
Because we're going to do it.
Okay, great.
We're getting
Let's
it.
put up, because I wasn't accusing
Here we
her.
go.
Your
Yeah.
exact quote.
Thanks,
Your
producer.
exact was
Medicare. Trying to figure that thing out on
crap.
your own is
Hold
like
on.
running into a brick. Do the work for you.
if you are raped or sexually assaulted, report it immediately.
Yes.
Don't wait for years later until the man runs for office to go to news outlets to tell your story. And if you had consensual sex with him years ago, don't turn it into rape for politics with conflicting stories.
Those are three.
Is that correct?
No, those are three separate pieces of it.
I do want
Three
to.
separate.
I do want to
Okay.
get to
That's
it.
not.
Shut up,
That's
Alyssa.
not.
So
all-
can you
Yes.
answer my question? Why did you post that?
Absolutely. I posted that because I support women who have been raped or sexually assaulted, and I want them to have justice.
But not if they've had
deserve-
consensual sex
No.
before.
Then, secondly, don't wait until they're running for office. We need to know early on.
She was warning the
I was
public.
warning the public.
No, but
okay?
this woman is
I
warning
know,
the
no,
public.
I'm saying the public needs to be warned because rapists need to be convicted.
I do
Yep.
want to
So it's
ask
the
you
woman's
about.
fault.
No,
not
no,
for it?
Sonny, it's not the woman's
Go ahead,
fault.
Alyssa.
Not at all.
Congresswoman, I want
Not
to
at all.
ask you
Let me
about
get to it.
Just
another.
like it's not Americans with flags in front of their house's fault, and it should not be offensive.
Congresswoman, I do want to ask you about another post that you that.
You know what? I don't like any of these people on this panel, but man, I like MTG way more than these guys.
We're out of time. As much as y'all should have had me for the whole show.
No.
No. Sorry. Yeah. Well,
So this is one question we must
All of a
ask you.
sudden they got a
You
problem
used to
with her.
talk to the president often on the phone. I take it you don't anymore. If he called, Trump called you today, would you answer the call?
I think it was earlier on. This is going to make me mad.
look like and
2021, an allegation he denies. More and more prominent Democrats are calling on him to end his campaign. Should he?
you know, I don't know anything about his policies. I just started learning about him yesterday when I saw this blow up. However, I do know what establishment political hit jobs look like. And I really wish women, when a woman is raped, it's extremely serious. And I stand behind women that are raped. And I ended my political career on that, by the way.
Boom.
And I wish women.
Did you catch that?
Yeah. I think I caught the same thing that you did. The anti.
She ended her political career because of that. That was the last thing she said.
She did not.
That was a lie. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lie. I mean, there is something to be said where Trump did go after some people because of the Epstein issue he felt was being.
So she was talking about that Epstein issue, not that something had
Yeah,
happened
so she
to
was
her.
conflating.
Okay.
She takes her brightest moment and then conflates it with the weak point so that you think it's one thing and it's not. And just like when they read the tweets, she was making it. She thinks she's smart. First of all, she thinks she's slick, because she was too relaxed in how she did. Like she said something that was clearly offensive. And the reaction was, I can go to not massage it a little bit. Oh, I shouldn't have said it was. I just have to say a few certain things to invalidate it completely. That's someone who's overconfident and very, thinks they're slick because she goes, oh, I'm saying three different things. So like in one post, that's the container for your whole statement. Because you have three separate sentences, she's saying they shouldn't be correlated. That's idiotic. That's someone who, because of tribalism, is used to having people that back her up no matter what she says. And so she thinks the people that don't believe her are an irrelevant minority. I don't really care about them. But the people around her, and she thinks it's because she's smart. It's not. It's because of stupid tribalism. Oh, you're on my team, so I'm going to back you up no matter what you do, give you the benefit of the doubt. And so that's then turned into her thinking that she's slick and that it would work. And she lost the social skill to realize it's not going to work in that context. And so that's what went on there.
And at the end, I didn't play the end for you, but she made sure she assuaged everyone at the table by saying, no, I would not accept Trump's phone call, which is stupid. I mean, if you had any
As
political
a president of the United
aspirations,
States, you're going to answer it. Yeah.
you're going to
But think
answer
about
it. That's a
that.
lie.
There again, she put him on the same playing field. She didn't want to acknowledge he's above her. So that does play into what we're talking about. You see all these little things, you think, like, you really think about it when you look at when these people, how they act. You can break down a 10-second, 15-second clip, and it can tell you a lot about how someone operates. That's for sure. And see how she put it in this. Her immediate reflex was, I don't know much about this person, but I know an establishment hit job. Again, going back to what I said before, they look for the anti-establishment people. Not that that's always wrong, but that's what you can cultivate, because if you're anti-establishment, what is that? Everything in power. It's broad enough to encompass everything. And if you think everything is, if that's a negative to you, everything that's in power, what do you favor? You may not say it, but it's revolution. It's rebellion.
Oh, definitely.
Other forms of ideologies. So Russia or China would hear that and say, there's something better than America that's in their mind as it currently stands. They think this system should be broken down. I'm going to invest my time in that person. That's absolutely what they would conclude. Just from that disconnected statement that you wouldn't think is about, it's not about Russia. But if you're a Russian influence operator or Iranian or whatever, you're going to hear that and you're going to say, boom, I just picked that apart, and there's a bunch of things there I can leverage.
Yeah. So Candace Owens, I'm going down her timeline, but she's been crashing out. So I wanted to pull up the picture of her when she's in Russia and all the microphones in her face. So my question would be, I mean, I'm sure they went all out to make sure that she felt like royalty for a reason. Would they go to those lengths? I'm getting it. She's been crashing out a lot, so I had to go way down on her timeline. But that one thing that really stood out to me, I was like, dang, she really looks like she is just eating this up, loving it, especially with the pictures of her, posting the pictures of her next to Charlie Kirk and like she's his wife or something. If I was Candace's husband, that would disturb me very much. I mean, she obviously has no idea of what a strong marriage is. I'm getting close because she's
never said, "Oh, I love Charlie because of XYZ, and that's what my husband is like."
Right, exactly.
It's never equated in a statement that she makes.
So here we go. So
it's a separate box.
It is. I mean, look, it's so nuts. But anyways, so this is one of the first things, they're
the forum. One person I wasn't expecting to see this year was Candace Owens. But what doesn't make sense to me is that every single American that comes to Russia, like Candace or Tucker Carlson or others, are automatically assumed to be Russian assets paid by the Kremlin. So does that mean Americans cannot just come to Russia and enjoy it? Like, is that so?
Yeah, we can come to Russia and enjoy it, but I'm going to find this shot
You know what 4 words were key there? Did you know what the most? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I'm just having fun with it. There are 4 words. I don't know if your audience caught it. Paid by the Kremlin. That's the most important part because that's the qualifier.
Paid by the Kremlin.
So she's not denying that they're Kremlin agents. That's weaker land. That's tough. Paid by the Kremlin. Candace did the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not being paid. She kept going back to that. And I and no one else accuse her of being paid because she's assuming people don't know mice. M-I-C-E.
Right.
Like that money is not always the factor. That's not
exactly. I'm thinking ego here, which is what made me think of the ego and all of that. Because if you look, there's a look right here. This is the one I want you to see.
Podcast, and Americans are really getting tired of funding, not knowing where money is going, learning that oligarchs are buying yachts. So we think about it at a practical level in terms of our taxes and where our money is going, which is never quite explained. But beyond that, we're trying to focus on a lot of home issues.
Look, my father is rolling in his grave. He served in the Navy. He said he got mad at Jane Fonda. He called her Hanoi Jane. And he he would see this as the dumbest woman to go over to another country and trash your country. Let's let her finish. Wow. You see that?
We think about it as tired of funding, a lot of conversation I've been having on my podcast, and Americans are really getting tired of funding, not knowing where money is going, learning that
She should not be telling our business. Hasn't she heard of don't air your dirty laundry? But oh my God, but they made sure they had the microphones in her face, and there was a large crowd around her.
Well, here's the thing. I saw pictures of it peeled back. So here's what's so interesting. She was not on the main stage as she should be. That's the stage that she deserved. They just had her on a panel for about 7 minutes with a bunch of other people, which I thought was so, because that makes
that's embarrassing.
Owens is not going to go, like, there's ulterior motives, because she's not going to travel to Russia to a war zone where there was a Ukrainian drone strike nearby, so you can see smoke as you went in. You're not going to do that with your kids to be on a panel with like 7 or 8 people to speak for like 7 minutes about a topic that's like not even your topic to an audience that isn't yours. It makes no sense. But if you look at the pictures and it's hard to find, but you can see like camera peels back to that moment when all the reporters are coming to her. And what you'll see is that normally when you do a speaking engagement, like I've had it, not something that big, but attendees come up to you too, or reporters get you after as you're leaving, or they come up. Like, what you see is it's actually a small room, empty, and it's all reporters in the front swarming her at the same time.
Yes, I did see the
doesn't
zoom
normally
out.
go that way.
Right.
Yeah.
I did see the zoom out. I want you all to pay attention to what Ryan just said, because several content creators, Britta, No Soup for Knowles, Britta was one of them, and Cinema Shogun, a lot of them were like, look at this room. She's in a small panel, but here's another thing too, and I think we need to talk about this. So let's talk about the number of people that are on YouTube that are probably not on the X platform, right? So this has been brought to a lot of people's attention, is that the people on YouTube have no idea what's going on. All they see is her podcast, right? And then they move on. So they're not getting all of the feeds and stuff like that like you do with the X platform. You can't
That's a good point. Yeah.
So they're like, they don't really have a shot unless they go, hey, YouTubers, any of y'all, please go watch Ryan Mauro's YouTube channel, this series that he's doing on Candace Owens. Let me put this banner down. And I also put your link to the Mauro Institute for people that are interested. The link is running. Oops, that's Jen, the producer. I have everybody's ready, so I'm not, I'm trying not to be. So here's the banner down below, y'all. Check that out. But wow, so look, this is all nuts. This stuff is blowing my mind, and especially after, because I would ask myself over and over again, what is going on here? So now I see it more, and it is part of an operation for them, just like with Tucker Carlson, talking about Qatar and going over there to Saudi Arabia, and how comparing our country to that country. Why would you ever do that? That's disgusting to me.
Yeah, well, I think it's mostly ideological, but it's also as the world's gotten more globalized, what makes strategic sense from a business standpoint, all that matters is that you have followers. They don't have to be American. Actually, they don't even have to be real, right? But let's say that's not part of the equation, manipulation. It makes a lot of sense if you want to grow your American audience now, but there's a ceiling because you're saying crazy stuff. Build your audience internationally. And then what happens? Your visibility goes up even for the American audience, and that's how you break through the ceiling. So sometimes the best way to advertise yourself in America and build the growth and get customers, you could say, is actually to be more popular overseas. And that's what I think has happened. Like, notice Tucker and these other people, they started rising as RT was shut down in the U.S. Iran's Press TV was sanctioned. Actually, more recently, the Venezuelan one got shut down. I'm not saying there's an exact correlation, but that does open up a part of the market in addition to the international audience. So part of it, I think there is a very shrewd business calculation that's smart. It's no longer, I want to have an American fan base, so I'm going to advertise to Americans. It's actually, no, you can advertise to an international audience so that Americans see you.
Yes.
And so, because all that, the more engagement you get, the more you get on social media, and that doesn't matter whether they're American or not. Americans will see it because everyone in Portugal is interacting with you. Like, that's all. Right. That's all you got to do. One
It'll
other
boost you up in the algorithm.
yeah, and then one other like quick, just funny body language thing. I talked to someone who is like semi-professional in this field and said I was right on. We're talking about Eric Swalwell, and I didn't know about his scandals beforehand, so I'm not claiming like inside knowledge or anything. But I knew if something wasn't up, something was about to be up, and here's how. Immediately ran for president despite being too young and looking too young. That's actually going to be relevant to what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Consistently when he loved the camera too much, and consistently, even in moments that didn't make sense, he always went too far with his rhetoric. And he did that before he's running for president, but he continued it after. So what do you have there? You have ego, attention, a desire for power. He's doing it too young, so he's not really thinking like pragmatically. Doesn't make sense. It's me. But then the big giveaway was because he's short and small, people didn't catch this. He started working out a lot. He actually got pretty big, and his shirts got really tight. And he was too seriously unaware to realize that it came off. What's the right word? Metrosexual, you could say. I don't want to say, but metro, like it was too much. But I only could tell that he was kind of ripped because he had shirts on that were way too. Yeah, it was too tight. Like they were rolling up like themselves. Like it looks weird. And I was like,
you see the wrinkles going across.
Yeah. And so I saw it. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on with him. And then I say, oh, he's married. And I'm like, nah, we know how congressmen act. There's too much there. He wants to be president. The way he's acting, trying to boost everything up about himself, and now he's working out a lot. And you put all those things together, and you're gonna be like, yeah, there's something. Those are anomalies that when you put them all together, that's someone where it doesn't necessarily mean that person's up to something bad. But I mean, if you're a recruiter or even if you're just a bad guy trying to say, oh, who's someone is worth investing my time in getting to, just off of that, you would say, that guy fits the bill.
I'm wondering what his wife was saying when he's doing. I mean, she was asking, honey, are you going through a midlife crisis? Do I need to be concerned? Are you seeing someone?
I bet he's real manipulative. So he probably said, I want to make you happier because I love you so much. I just realized how much I love you. So I'm working out all for you, honey.
You know what I love the most?
No, he's getting more physically attractive because.
Yes. He's wanting to go play. I love the most is that, he doubled down on that, never question the woman, you have to believe her when she says that type of thing happened, an assault or whatever. And now that it's happened to him, he's denying it. So everybody was like, well, we got to believe the woman, man. We got to believe sorry. I mean, you told us we got to believe the woman. So that's what we're going to do. But they kicked him to the curb pretty fast too. They are vicious over there on the Democratic side.
Yeah. And it sounds like this was known very widely, which to me is the real scandal. Like the individual scumbag that gets in there, okay. But like, I always care far more about the people that knew and didn't do anything.
That pisses me off because I say you're complicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys acting, people getting corrupt, people getting radical, like the individual bad actor is something our system and society we can deal with that. The real threat is the people who, because of tribalism or money or whatever, are or sometimes a lot of the time it's just social, like who they hang out with. It's not so much money, it's just like, oh, well, our kids play together. Like things like that. You drop your objective morality. That's what you're looking for. I guess that's what it comes down to. Someone
morality.
Drop their objective morality and say, oh, because of the situation, what I normally said I wouldn't do, I can do now. Here's why.
Well, I wanted to share with you, I'm similar to you as far as the faith thing. When I grew up, I truly didn't know who Jesus was, as far as, I'd heard the nativity scene and all that. I remember my aunt, the only Jesus I got growing up when I lived with my grandparents because my dad was out on med cruises. So he was a single father. And, she used to take us to church and stuff, but it wasn't until, November 1st, 2009 was when I fully, understood. And then I started reading the Bible chronologically. And I keep telling people, I'm like, if you just read the Bible chronologically, if you just do that, doesn't matter the translation. I love reading anyway. I have a passion for it, but it just opens up so many. It's a whole new world, and there's no question in the world that you could ever ask that can't be answered in that book, So before we close out, of course, I want you to tell people what you think the most important 3 takeaways would be from what we covered tonight. And for me, it's definitely the MICE framework. I think that's a tried and true, you look, money. Yep. Check. Ooh, ego check. Oh, dang, they got 2 and they only need 1. Y'all remember that they only need 1. So I did make a little song for Candace Owens, and if I'm able to play it, we'll end off on that.
Oh, nice. I like it. I like it already.
I think you'll like it. I was like, well, a friend of mine called. I used to do spaces with them a long time ago. They used to do like battle raps and stuff. So they're all original music artists. And he was like, you got to check this app out. You're not a songwriter, but you can get in there and make songs and stuff. I was like, really? I was just thinking about that because I need original music that I won't get copyright struck. And even when you use like editing software and you use their music, sometimes you could still get copyright struck.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna make me a little song about Candace Owens. So we'll listen to that. So tell people the top 3 takeaways, the most important things out of what we discussed tonight that you think they should take away. Then I want you to tell them where to find you. I've got all your stuff up here. I'll do that part for you. That's my job. But anyway, tell them about your institute. Definitely, I want you to take a little bit of time. Tell them how they can, contribute to what you're doing. If anyone's interested in enrolling or anything like that, give them information on that. So go on that while I search for the song.
Sure. So people can go to ryanmauro.com, learn more about my background, the different things that I do, because I jump around between a few different things, all in this related field. And if you want to help out, we do take tax deductible donations. And by we, I mean, it's small, it's new. I mean, it's my operating expenses to do some of this stuff, because even paying for like different equipment for research and things like that is stuff that just isn't available to me, because this is the course I've chosen to go, is to make an impact this way. And so I'm trying to be as independent as I can because of all the garbage that goes on when you get just like with MICE. I don't want to be too dependent upon an actor that is political, one side or the other, because in my experience, they always end up trying to muzzle you. And the reason we're in this situation that we're in today is because everyone's only gotten half the picture. You've heard about all the bad things that's happening in terms of hostile foreign influence operations on the left, or you've heard about it on the right. And then as soon as it starts getting there towards the middle and then crosses over, you don't know about it. And that's why that's why they're so successful. They can handle you just knowing about one side. They can't handle you knowing the whole thing. So I'm trying to operate out of that binary. So if someone wants to help me out, you can donate to the Mauro Institute at ryanmauro.com. And the type of stuff that we need is like really affordable, small stuff. So that little donation that you think is like little, not worth your time, like it matters. And and if you want to, I'll even tell you what it's used towards. As for the 3 lessons to take away, number 1, I would say it's not about Candace Owens, the individual. It's about the system. It's about the influence operation around her being an example. But even there, like Russia, the speaking engagement that she had, the panel she was on, one of the topics was their comprehensive ecosystem. This is a battle of ecosystems.
Yep.
So I would say that's 1. Number 2, to get through it, we all have to be humble. Maximize your humility. There's things that you believe that are just flat out wrong. A bunch of other stuff is going to be partially wrong. And when you debate people or have conversation about things, try to figure out where you're wrong, because especially if you're a person of faith, then you know how stupid we are compared to God. So odds are we're all wrong about just about everything to some degree. So go through things with humility, and then you'll have a much higher accuracy rate. Your assessments will be better. It'll be better, and your stress level will go down. And then the third thing, I would say try to view all of this. I call it the global seditionist movement. That's how the global seditionist movement is how I define it. It's one singular thing. It's not far left. It's not far right. I've been saying this for over a decade. I got a ton of crap for it when I did, but this is all one thing. It's not even a horseshoe anymore. If you've heard of the horseshoe theory, it's an oval. It's the global seditionist movement of anarchists, Islamists, white nationalists, communists. All of those are actually very, 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 very similar, especially over their short and medium term objectives, they're on one team.
Yeah.
Our ridiculous binary with our political system has made them even blind to it, and us especially blind to it. But the way we look at politics is just all wrong from my perspective. There's Americans who are good for civil society that want to preserve it and disagree about ways to improve it. But if you look at polls, actually agree 80% of the time. If you take away the rhetoric and it's like, oh, what should we do about this? They agree. But if you call it pro-gun or anti-gun, they hate each other. But then you say, oh, what should we do? They about 80% of the way they agree. Americans are much more on the same page than people realize. It's amazing. But then you have that minority that you would think disagree the most, the so-called far left and far right. Oh, they must disagree the most because they're that far apart. So they actually agree almost 100%. That's the other. If you're going to make it a binary, that's the binary. It's patriots, including most Democrats and most Republicans, and I'm sorry, most politicians on both sides are actually in one box. And then there's the global seditionist movement, and that's it. That's the struggle. People laugh when I say this, but it's true. Bush, McCain, Romney, Trump, Obama, Biden, Clinton actually are all in the same box. The bad guys will say that as an indictment of our system to say, oh, look, it's all a mirage. There's no true freedom. My argument is, no, it's kind of true, but that's because the vast majority of Americans are good. And so the things we magnify our differences because we agree so much. Those little differences get magnified, and that happens because of the way the system is run. But if you look at it substantively and you compare them to our enemies, as much as they all may hate each other, we are kind of one family. We are kind of one team. It's easy to forget it, though.
Yeah, most definitely. Wow, that was all amazing. I mean, this has been, we're gonna have to do this again if I could if I could get you again. So y'all, tomorrow night you need to join Ryan Mauro. What time? Do you have a time yet?
Oh yeah, that is at 9 p.m. Eastern for episode 3 of the counteroffensive, where I'll be releasing some new information analysis about where Rand fits in with the influence operation surrounding Candace Owens. So I think that'll blow some people's minds.
I was really excited about that. So we'll definitely be tuning in for that. Y'all make sure you're tuning in for it. We've got all the details, how to support Ryan at ryanmauro.com. He told you how you can enroll, do all the things you need to do. Go follow him on the X platform. That's where you get like the meat and potatoes of stuff. You can watch the video and then go get further breakdown on the X platform. So I highly recommend that. So Ryan Mauro, let me just say thank you. Thank you. I know you're a busy man. I'm very humbled. We're not the biggest platform, but we are so grateful to have you, and we are thankful. And you're helping us out by helping us learn things, be able to ask questions. And y'all, remember when you go to his live stream, you can ask all those questions. He's really good about getting back to people, on the X platform. Follow his feeds and all of that. So I did find the song. Do you want to hear the song?
Let's hear it. I'm excited for it.
Let me bring it up on stage. I was going to put it behind us and let it play. But anyway, so a friend of mine called and he was like, this app is in beta testing. So that's another thing about X platform. You meet a lot of developers and stuff over there. So in my few years of being on that platform, I met some amazing people. So he was like, go check this app out. You can do this. So y'all ready for this song? I couldn't help it. I had to do it. I was like, I have to do this. It's going to be so much fun. Y'all ready? Let's go.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, shit. Hold on. I hit to share this tab instead. Okay, it's on the screen. Maybe it won't come through. Okay, let's try it again. Tell me if you hear anything.
Again at 2:30. Again.
Hold on, I gotta rewind it. Okay, did you hear anything?
I did just for a second, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Bum bum bum. Shoo up, shoo up. Bum 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 bum. Shoo up, shoo up. Bum 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 bum. She's live again at 2:30. Again. again.
Tinfoil tiara, nothing to do. She's got a map, some string and glue, connecting dots that never were true. Bless her heart, she's got a clue.
Back up, she's got a clue.
Well, maybe two.
Back up.
Ooh, maybe not.
Candy rot.
Candy rot.
Round and round that wagon rolls. Living rent free in rabbit holes. Got receipts.
Wait, maybe not.
Candy rot.
Candy rot.
Somebody unplug that Wi-Fi spot.
Shoo, I pull the plug
before she ties another knot.
She found a shadow on the moon.
Doom and gloom.
Swears the mailman's a platoon.
She'll crack this case by end of June.
Hang on, I'm still connecting the roof.
She screenshots clouds for evidence.
Oh, the evidence.
Honey, that's called coincidence.
Just coincidence.
Candy rot.
Candy rot.
Round and round that wagon rolls. Living rent free.
Huh? It's catchy.
I like it.
Got receipts.
Wait,
maybe not. Candy rot.
Candy
You want to
rot.
sing it?
Somebody unplug that
you don't want me
Wi-Fi
doing that.
spot.
Shoo, I pull the plug
Before she ties another knot.
We've been down this road
She
before.
flows one hole.
She found for more.
She found for more.
Bless her heart, we do adore
The absolute unhinged encore.
Oh, she's our girl.
Our glorious mess.
Be of more or less.
Can't change the channel, we confess.
She's wearing us like a Sunday dress.
Now she's gone completely dark.
Shoo up off the mark.
The Wi-Fi towers ate my spark.
She'll resurface after dark.
With 40 slides and a question mark.
Bless her heart.
Candy rot. Candy rot.
Round and round and round she goes.
Where she stops.
Nobody knows.
Got receipts.
She lost the lot.
Somebody unplug that Wi-Fi spot.
Huh?
That's
What?
pretty good. You wrote the lyrics to that?
I did.
Whew,
did.
witty, man.
The app put it together for me, but yeah, I was like, look, I got some time to waste. Let me, and I was
Yeah.
just rolling. I was like, and at first I was gonna do it like a hillbilly banjo, and I was like, nah, this needs to be something like 1950s doo-wop,
Yeah, for sure. It's too bad there's no easy way to make visuals to it, I assume, right?
No, I can, and I
Really?
very much intend to. Yeah, I do all my own editing, thumbnails, all of it. So
I mean, something
yeah.
to generate like the cartoons or whatever. Is
Yeah.
that? Oh,
Yep. I
so
know
that's
some
easy.
animators. I can't do the animations, but
Yeah.
I can definitely do something like probably take even clips of her own stuff and I could the wheels are going. I mean, I
Yeah.
just can't help myself. I'm like, I gotta make these memes. I've gotta do this.
You gotta be
I've
visuals of her tying the
Definitely.
knots and all that.
I like my favorite Mr. Exclusive. Do you know who Mr. Exclusive is? He's amazing.
I
He's
remember
doing
the account. I forget the context, but yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of hard work. He does a lot of great articles. I love the articles. I read Cinema Shogun, Raven Grace, and Mr. Exclusive, and then of course your stuff are the ones that I mainly for the articles.
Sure.
I really like. And did you see Data Republican jumped into the fray on Candace Owens? I was like,
Oh, with the NCRI
the
study. with
thread.
Yeah.
Yeah,
About her
so-
inciting. I mean, it's a true. I honestly think when she goes to Russia, like that, she may not even know it, but they're going to be using her to incite terrorism, like just like a cult leader would. And she may not go so far as to blatantly say it, like her friend Elizabeth Lane, the Russia linked Elizabeth Lane does.
The Russian prostitute.
Yeah, I did not call her a prostitute. She's gonna
I
get me
did that. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Ryan Mauro.
And you were
did.
joking. You were exaggerating.
It
It's
was
hyperbole.
joking.
She but
She
Russia
blocked me.
linked.
She offered me to
Oh,
let
did
her
she?
be her autocorrect. Oh, Regina, you ugly inside, Regina. before we rip up. But anyway, what were you saying? I'm sorry.
The voice messages I've gotten from her, just like she's a trip. Like it makes you want to talk to her because it's so wild each time. I mean, it's that public persona that you see. That's how at least she talks to me in private the exact same way. It's just, but hearing it vocalized is so much better.
Do you think she'd give me another chance? And you think you could put in a word for me and come on to my show?
No, you know what?
I'll be
There's
nice to her.
moments
And
where she just wants to just like go at someone, and there's been times in the past where she's like, I don't care who it is, I just want to debate somebody. Like so, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I'll be like, please. I mean, look, I know you want Gary and all them, but I'm way more obscure. But maybe come. I mean,
she's so much worse than Candace with the connecting dots that don't like. There is someone worse than Candace, and the name is Elizabeth Lane. In terms of, she believes I operate a foreign bot farm that attacks her. That's how I'm deploying it, and I make it agree with me occasionally, as if that's how you'd use that. And I'm secretly working with the intelligence services of Georgia and Ukraine, the U.S. and Israel. Just me.
Based off of what? Evidence or statement?
She made a whole video. She made like a 20-minute video.
I'm going to do a reaction to it.
It was embarrassing for her. I was like, there one day she's going to be seeing a doctor going over this to figure out what's wrong with her. Because it was unbelievable.
Candace's children. Keep telling me about.
Russia linked Elizabeth Lane, who is friends with Candace and Tucker. Where was I going with that? Aside from the fact that she connects dots to an even crazier.
We were talking about her desperation to debate.
Oh yes, So she has moments where she just is convinced that she can prove something just by engaging somebody. So I mean, she's the type of person. I don't know if I've ever communicated with anyone quite as volatile as her. You can't rule out anything, which is partially why I'm concerned about her, because she's so unhinged.
Yeah.
There was actually some brief times where she was kind of cool, where I was talking to her, where I was able to like be like, can we just talk like humans instead of like you just sending me you screaming the F word over and over again and every horrible word at me. And but she flips. Like you get like, there'll be a brief moment where you're like, this is a different person, and then boom.
I think she blocked me because I made a little parody of her and said, the only words I know are
Yeah, she has no sense of humor.
Yeah, she doesn't. But I mean, I was like, I put some work into that. You didn't like it, Lizzie? What's wrong, Elizabeth?
I saw that. That was funny. And I'm like, when I saw that, I actually thought she would retort, but I thought she might be able to acknowledge the humor in it in some way, because like most humans can, especially if you want to be a public figure. You're supposed to have thick skin, and she doesn't. But so I'm kind of surprised that she blocked you. But yeah, she doesn't sense of humor. There's numerous things where I said it on X, and she's like, oh, like I went to say live. She wanted me to be on her show, and I'm like, are we talking about live? And she accused me of asking where she lives. L-I. And so she's going off like, you're trying to find my address, you stalker. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. And then I realized, oh, she thought when I talked about.
She didn't understand it was live stream. Yeah.
And at one point when she was nicer, because I never insulted her back. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna be as nice as I normally would, just ignore it. And
I think she would like me if she met me. I really do.
I don't know. I mean, I think she wants to be liked on some level, but I don't know how any human can be around her for like more than 30 seconds, because she just explodes. What was she saying? Well, I forgot.
So she hasn't blocked you at all. She hasn't blocked you. No. So you guys go back and forth. So you said she's extremely volatile.
So about her not having such. She's like, I'll answer any question. I'm like, oh, okay. As a research point of view, I'm like, that's great. You know, like. Because before it was like, oh yeah, I'm not. It was just F you all the time. I'm like, all right. And so I thought it'd be funny if I sent her a voice message. I just okay. So my first question is this: why are you trying to destroy America, and how are you planning to do it? And I thought that would make her laugh, and I just got back like a 2-minute thing of her cursing me off and just going nuts.
You must have caught her at the wrong time, you know.
Or,
I mean,
yeah, the wrong time being like what oxygen was in the air. Like the time when she is in a bad mood is when there is oxygen in the air.
she's been on a block. Hey, she and Candy been throwing some block parties lately, and people are saying they've been blocked left and right. She blocked Shady. Well, no, she had been blocked Shady, but Little House of Blues, all those people, they were like, she blocked me. I was like, well, at least she left me a parting comment, so I felt special. I have a screenshot of it where
Because you got under her skin too. Yeah.
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 Well, I wish the best for her, but if you're in America, you got to love your country. I mean, look, when you're in a relationship, a marriage, don't be inviting people into your relationship. Don't be oversharing about things. That's none of their business. We appear weak when we do that. So we need to have a united front. So I can't think of a better way to recognize if you want to talk about a psyop, I think this is what it would be. Not to the extreme that they were saying. And there was one thing that Andrew Wilson said during that space that I really liked because, they go over to the conspiracy, all of that. And I'm with you. I'm mixed on Andrew Wilson, but I really like his wife and all of that. I've been in a space with them before a couple years ago. And, but the whole thing of, when you were talking about the debate thing, I don't think those are true debates. I just don't. I think
He's really
they're
good at insulting. I used to love watching him insult people because and then I realized I was like, wait, I don't feel good about this because there were some times it went way too far, and I was like, wait, why do I like this? Oh, because I like seeing him humiliate people that I want to see humiliated. And I was like, I don't know if I want to cultivate that in my personality. So there's times where he's not though, and he's like, yeah, he's a very skilled debater, but understand what it is when you brag that you're the best debater in the world, as he constantly does. Oh, I take down the best in the world. Like, okay, but what you're saying is that this is a performance. It's a skill set.
It's not right. That's what I said. I said, at one point in this space, I actually got up on stage, and at one point in the space, I was like, you're all talking about that. Why don't you just ask a simpler question? How long should it be before people start conducting their own investigations and they don't, from day 4 after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, people were already putting these, sorry about the dog, we're going to end soon. Stick around though, because we're going to talk about what we talked about earlier if you've got time, and we'll hash that out. But anyway, y'all, we thank you for joining. Ryan is amazing. Y'all go check us out. The dogs are going crazy. So now I guess is a good time to end. I hope you guys got a lot of good information out. Those of you that commented, came through. We couldn't be more thankful for you. I think this is Mr. Moondev. I'm sorry, Mr. Moondev, if I didn't get to you. Republicans no longer exist. Trump said he's going to change your name. Ooh. My name's going to get changed to Rhino. Hey, it's Regina. I could incorporate it. No problem. All right. It's more like something long live the King, Christians only. Okay. Hey, Jesus is Lord. I like it. Freedom of religion. Yeah, America's known for that. It's in the Constitution. I don't know what we were talking about at the time because I'm a little behind on the comments. But y'all, thank you for commenting, feeding the algorithm, liking, sharing, subscribing. Y'all, we are less than 20 away from 10,000 subscribers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a roller coaster, but I like working behind the scenes. So I was like jumping in, helping people. It helps me learn. All right, we're not going to hold you, Mr. Mauro. We know you have been running. Let's run with him. Y'all, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 through 27. Have you not heard? Do you not know all that run in a race? They run for a prize, a crown. They run for a corruptible crown. We don't. We run for an incorruptible crown. So you know what? We got to get in training. Don't beat somebody else's body. Beat your own body, right? So that at the end of the race, you yourself won't be disqualified for the prize. Y'all, my name is Regina Connell with Wild and Wired Media. We thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the flip flop. Stick around, right?
Rise and shine. It's a brand new day. Got the world on my mind. Ain't no time to play. Chasing dreams, running fast, feeling no delay. We're the watchdogs, always watching what they say. Eyes wide open, we're taking what's ours. Breaking through the silence, aiming for the stars.